Okay, so hey everyone, welcome to G League. As always, I'm Baseskip. This is going to be part of our best of three sets for Group B. So that's Tongfu, IG, MUFC, and VG. But anyway, this game, IG are going to be over on the Radiant side, Tongfu on the Dire. This is going to be game one of this best of three set. As always, Join Dota and Beyond the Summit are both covering this tournament as well. So if you don't enjoy my coverage, this is just my favorite way to watch these games. So make sure that you guys can go and check out them as well. Undying going to start us off for the bans, and the Batrider removed from the pool by Tongfu. Both teams have their full lineups here. So yeah, I think that's about it. If anyone has any daily casting stuff that they'd like me to cover, feel free to send me replays. I guess I'll just note that down at the start of this. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. So getting underway, Darkseer is going to be the ban as well by IG. I mean, it's hard to list off what the standard bans are going to be. Tongfu might opt for the Magnus here, since he is just still so powerful. It's interesting to see that G League are still opting for the International 2 format, I suppose, with the Radiant side by default receiving first pick. Valve set that for the International 2, and a lot of tournaments have followed through, though it has been mixed up a little bit in other tournaments. For example, the defense, whichever team chooses their side, the other team gets to choose who has first pick, second pick. So just trying to see if they can mitigate that, well, what some people perceive as a very heavy Radiant advantage right now. So Nyx is going to be banned out. TA actually makes it through, and it's going to be picked up here. We have seen a few games where TA has made it all the way through, being completely ignored by both sides, and with the minor change to her refraction, it has hurt her quite a bit, though. A lot of the obvious counters have been banned out in this pool right now, the Darkseer and the Batrider. Also worth mentioning that the Venomancer, who we did see picked up quite heavily as a support to deal with the TA when she was sort of at her peak, was also nerfed in terms of the Venomous Gale mana cost and things like that. It's slightly less spammable, which means he's a slightly weaker counter than he used to be, which means that the TA has a little bit more breathing room, especially when the Bat and the Darkseer are banned out, though teams haven't been putting as much stress on grabbing that TA. And actually looking a little bit reminiscent of 6.76 here, the Magnus is going to be picked up by Tongfu. I guess if we want to keep going down the 6.76 route, it might be a Jakiro, though we haven't been seeing a lot of him recently with the damage change on the Ice Path, enough to knock him out of the competitive spotlight. And it's just minor things, but you're no longer able to, secure neutral last hits with the 100 damage. It means that you can't really opt for 2 points in Dual Breath as reliably. Before, it was a no-brainer. You got 1 point in Ice Path, you got 2 points in Dual Breath by level 3, you had great damage potential. Now his overall damage potential at that level is reduced by 75, and it really hurts him. Shadow Demon's going to be picked up here by Tongfu. IG, they've probably already secured their mid in the TA. Magnus, with his changes, more than likely going to be heading towards mid, since the offlane isn't really a viable option for him anymore. And we haven't really been seeing anyone running their initiator on the safe lane up until this point. It is, as always, an option, though. It's, I guess, nicer to have the gold on someone that accelerates it a little bit just with their skills. So that's obviously typically your carry. IG, it's hard to make predictions at this point in the draft. TA may be looking to make space for whichever carry that they pick up. The Lone Druid has been exceedingly popular lately. I think we've seen every single Chinese team pick him up when they have the opportunity. And hello, Hell There Champ. Nice to see you as well. So what's it going to be, IG? They could just opt to pick up a support here. Tongfu probably going to be looking to combo something with the Shadow Demon, perhaps the Lina or the Leshrac, and it's just going to be Lone Druid and Keeper of the Light. So it looks like IG might be going at least a little bit defensive. They've got the great support for a defensive tri-lane, and the Lone Druid, obviously that's their primary farmer. That's who they're looking to create space for using the Coddle and the TA. And Keeper of the Light, great pickup, especially given that with the Lone Druid, you're effectively playing 4v5, at least for a little while. And Tongfu are going to pick up the Anti-Mage. I guess the one stat that people have been quoting around for G League at least is that Anti-Mage was, until yesterday I believe, yet to lose. His overall win rate in sort of competitive Dota was significantly lower, but in G League up until I believe yesterday, where it was played by CTY of VG, I think he was yet to lose. But anyway, so Bounty Hunter is now going to be banned out. IG could run the Lone Druid on their off lane, though we haven't been seeing that as a very popular option of late. There's so many more ways to deal with the bear just pulling around from between the tier 1 and the tier 2 towers, and teams have just become familiar enough with it that it's not really a viable option to have the Lone Druid on the offlane. So he really needs to be either on mid or on that safe lane. And IG doesn't look like they've got any potential to go for an aggressive tri lane, so they're probably looking for an offlaner of their own. That they could opt for a strategy that we have seen some teams running, where they just completely sacrifice their offlane, have a full defensive tri lane on bot, and then a jungler in the remaining 3 camps that aren't being pulled. And I'm having a few graphical glitches, but hopefully that'll clear up in game. Again, I think it's just a consequence of the drivers on my 7970, so hopefully it's not too noticeable for you guys. Enigma's going to be banned out again. IG could be running a jungler here. The Keeper of the Light's going to be able to free up space down in that bottom lane pretty much single-handedly. It's just the nature of the hero with good positioning. I'm not sure if Tongfu are going to be running an aggressive tri lane. IG banning pretty heavily on mid heroes right now. They're going to be taken out by Tongfu. IG probably still looking for one more support, and would be nice to see them pick up some solid stun or something like that. It's a little bit unfortunate when you pick up the Keeper of the Light. He offers you a lot of utility, but he just doesn't have that reliable stun that is so nice to have. And I mean, Lone Druid, obviously unreliable. They just don't really have anything to cancel TPs or anything like that. And you always need to get at least something, otherwise you're going to be cheesed by those TPs away all the time. It's just such a pain. So the support could be something like the Lina or the Leshrac, but they don't have a setup stun. So we'll have to see. It might just be a really straightforward stunner, something like the Vengeful Spirit. Could even see Crystal Maiden. We haven't seen her a lot though. The Mana Aura, a little bit, redundant is the word I'm looking for with the Keeper of the Light Chakra. And what supports have we actually been seeing a lot of recently? Shadow Demon's been quite popular, the Nyx who's been banned as well. The Rubik also has been quite successful, but it's just going to be Sand King again, looking for a reliable stun, and don't have any setup, so they can't opt for the Lina or the Leshrac. So Sand King, who fell out of the metagame a little bit of late, is going to be picked up here, offers them a little bit more control. Obviously the Bar Strike is a great AoE stun, and the Epicenter, good defensive teamfight for them as well. Though they don't really have anything to lock down the Anti-Mage at the moment. Looks like they might, I suppose, have to rely on their push power. Obviously the TA with the physical damage is pretty good at bringing down AM, but no straight out silences or anything like that. Not a whole lot of chain stun to bring him down. So Tongfu, how are lanes looking right now? They've got the Shadow Demon, they've got the Anti-Mage, probably just running a defensive tri-lane with that. Magnus going to be heading towards mid. He might get a little bit of support depending on what IG's offlaner is going to be, since it's more than likely just going to be the Lone Druid, Coddle, Sand King on that defensive tri. Though they could still mix things up, as always. It's a little bit difficult to predict lanes from time to time, but no, it looks like it's just going to be a safe offlaner, just picking up the Winner. They could still mix things up a little bit, run a Keeper of the Light, Sand King, Winner tri lane, where Winner is effectively the primary farmer. Just leave Lone Druid down on that safe lane. Though Tongfu do still have the option available to them of running a tri lane of their own. Shadow Demon Lina +1, Anti-Mage soloing the safe lane, and then Magnus on that mid lane. Could be a viable choice. It just depends on how much support they think the Magnus is going to need on mid. If you commit to that tri lane down on bot, then you can't really afford to be pulling heroes away. Otherwise, they don't really have anything else to do. They don't have someone like a Darkseer on their safe lane who they can send to the off lane. So if they commit to that aggressive tri lane, it needs to work out, and Magnus needs to hold his own on mid. Shadow Demon Lina, obviously a great combo in its own right. Would be nice to have a little bit more damage on top of it. And this last pick will definitely decide whether or not it's just going to be someone on the off lane or an aggressive tri lane. And who could it be? Just trying to think. I mean, the Brewmaster's already been banned out. They have room for a melee, perhaps. And it's actually just going to be Invoker. So a little bit unusual there. Might be the Magnus heading towards the offlane, Invoker going mid. We'll have to see. Depends on how Tongfu are calling IG's lanes. But getting into the game, it's going to be Veronica playing the Magnus, Sansheng on the Shadow Demon, Hao is going to be on the Anti-Mage Long DD, on the Lina, and Mu on this Invoker. Over on IG, YYF is going to be playing the Winner Ferrari 430 on the Templar Assassin, so heading towards mid as we would sort of expect. Faith is going to be on this Keeper of the Light, Zoe is on the Lone Druid, and that leaves Chan to play the Sand King. And hopefully a very brief pause to start us off in this game. And I guess pauses have sort of been the name of the game of G League so far, but hopefully we will not see a continuation of that. And the very aggressive go is called. So hopefully that's one of Tongfu unpausing right now. No, it's not, but there's the go regardless. So interesting to see how Tongfu choose to run these lanes. It could just be the offlane Magnus, though it's not he's not the strongest offlaner in the world by any measure. I guess if he's up against the defensive tri-lane with the Keeper of the Light and the Sand King, he's going to find some farm, but it looks like it might just be the aggressive tri-lane for IG right now, just sending Lone Druid down towards the safe lane. So Veronica, 1v1 against the Syllabear, not the best in the world, but better than being up against that defensive tri-lane. So should be able to find some farm, regardless, find those levels which he so desperately needs. And especially now with the change to Skewer, the Magnus does need to get more levels up just to have that initiation from the 1200 range on the Skewer. Bear just scouting out Roshan to start, and actually just picking up an early Orb of Venom. So Zoe, I guess, calling Tongfu's lanes a little bit here, realizing that he's going to be up against the solo Magnus, and that Orb of Venom going to be doing some fantastic harassment to keep Veronica at least back from the wave. Lone Druid in almost any 1v1 situation, just because of the nature of the bear, being able to sit the bear on top of the opposing hero and then last hit freely. He does have a lot of power. And Tongfu, what are they doing right now? Looks like they might run a duo lane on mid, perhaps. Hao is moving that way. He's actually being pulled a little bit of regen and has a poor man's shield, so it might be a solo mid anti-mage with Invoker, Shadow Demon, and the Lina heading up towards top. Invoker doesn't really bring all that much to this defensive tri-lane, so he's just going to be farming. But IG, they've got relatively good kill potential in their aggressive try. We'll have to see how this Invoker works out. I mean, early on, he's only really going to be contributing the Cold Snap, though with the Shadow Demon Illusions, it's not a bad combo at all. And still paused for now. I can't zoom through this since it's not a replay. Ferrari has now reconnected. It's just a bottle rush for him. So just quick check-in on starting items. YYF, he's got Ring of Protection up. That's probably just going to be an early Bassi for him. Faith has got some obs and some sentries. Chan, just a little bit of regen. Zoe down in bot, we saw that early Orb of Venom, so that's a lot of his starting gold. Veronica's just got a Stout picked up. That's all of his regen and his own items. We saw that pooled PMS on Hao. Sansheng has some obs. Long DD has some sentries picked up, so it's a set of obs and a set of sentries for either side, and Mu just with 4 branches, a circlet, and some tango. So trying to help out Invoker's now absolutely awful base damage after his base damage nerf. And if it's going to be a Quaswex Invoker, which we might see, he needs all the help that he can get in terms of last hitting. I mean, even just compare something like the Lina with 3 branches to the Invoker, 52-44. Invoker's base damage is now absolutely atrocious. And it's a really, really harsh nerf. It's why we probably haven't seen as much solo mid Invoker of late. And is it going to be a Quaswex Invoker? It might just be. Sand King's extremely mana reliant, but with a very small mana pool. The TA now struggles even more than she used to with the mana cost increase on Refraction. And obviously, even against a Quaswex Invoker, the Keeper Chakra isn't going to be able to keep up with the Tornado if it's with the EMP if it's connecting solidly. So still paused for now. Quick check-in, I guess. Let's tally up the team fight for both teams. We've got an Epicenter on IG. They're gonna have, if Faith has good positioning, a few Illuminates over the top. Shackle, 4-second hero to hero stun. Can never count that out. So it's not looking all that bad for them. I mean, Lone Druid should be finding some good farm on bot against the Magnus. For Tongfu, it's gonna be the Magnus, who obviously has the ridiculously low cooldown reverse polarity. There's the potential for some big stuns on top of that from the Lina and some good AoE damage. Invoker is pretty much a teamfight monster no matter what build you go. Tongfu may be a little bit light on the disable, but a Quaswex Invoker will be sort of helping out in that regard. And still paused, and still just waiting on YYF to reconnect. I guess Ooh, what are each team's standings in this group right now? That's something I should know. And that's just something I'll just have a quick check in while we wait for this unpause. Sorry about this, guys. I should know this. It's something that I've really been meaning to stay on top of. Okay, so current standings. Tongfu are 2-0 in the group, having oh no, that's their match standing. They're 1-0 in the group. IG are also 1-0. So both teams, I believe, have faced Vici Gaming and won, though not 100% sure. So it's a fairly significant matchup at the moment. Both teams obviously leading the group. It's the top 3 teams from each group advancing as well. It's a little bit of a weird group. IG probably expected to come out on top, and the other teams vying for those remaining 2 positions. And Vici Gaming 0-2 at the moment, not in a great spot. And the pause continues. I'm trying to be as interesting as I can, but YYF does now finally reconnect. It looks like we'll be able to get underway with this game. Again, this Tri-Lane versus Tri-Lane is going to be tough. It's a lot of spam from the Keeper of the Light. They've got some pretty good disables between the Sand King and the Winner. And the Invoker, just for the early levels, doesn't contribute all that much. If they don't manage to get a few pulls off, it could spell trouble. And now, finally, the unpause. We've got Veronica camping out the bottom rune right now. And top rune now being camped by IG. Tongfu not really making any moves that way just yet, so relying solely on Veronica to try and spot at this starting rune. We do have Long DD and Sanqing now moving into position. Gonna throw down an Obs, but that's right in sight of this Observeroid, which is thrown down quite early by IG. So if they want to invest a sentry, they can choose to get rid of that one. And actually just throwing a sentry up onto the high ground right now. Though they did spot that there was one ward in the inventory of Long DD. Oh no, where's the second ward? There's one observer. Who's got the second observer? Okay, so Sanqing has that one. But they would have been able to spot that he's only put down the one obs, so that sentry is a little bit strange. Zerminate Rune looks like it was perhaps denied by the bear down on bot, since we didn't get a notification about that. And Sanqing actually going to be starting off on mid, so Mu has to go it alone up on this top lane. It's going to be tough for him. The stun already getting harassed down. Tron body blocking a little bit as well. YYF going to pop off the Winner, and Mu already down on half HP. Faith just going to be nuking down the neutral camp to start. Long GD successfully gets the small camp pull. The one creep does make it through. It's significantly more difficult now, and Mu gets stunned up one more time, realizing that the support is on mid and he's up here solo. Doesn't even have any cells to quickly get back into this lane, so forced to just continue to tango up, but for now he's sitting down on low HP, and support is nowhere near. I mean, Sanqing's all the way over on mid, and Long DD running this small camp pull. Mu, now the target, there's a lot of creeps on him. This might be our first blood. Again, Invoker has nothing but right click at these early levels, and YYF with just the right click finishing him off. So Tongfu dedicating a lot to try and shut in the TA on this middle lane, but their Invoker is not going to be having a fun time. And I mean, Hao is getting some good farm right now on mid. They're keeping the TA shut down at least a little bit. Sanqing now up to level 2, and Ferrari completely out of mana. Does still have one more refraction charge up. There's the soul catcher. Here comes the right click. Down. Not going to be considering diving that tower. And Ferrari now with the bottle shipped out. Mu back up on top, now up to level 2, so does actually have something to contribute with that cold snap. Throwing that out on YYF, who immediately just pops off the Winner. So no great concern for him. Faith looking to throw a nuke through onto Mu as well. Mu, just the harassment is non-stop, and now a pause called by him as well. And yeah, Mu now disconnecting off. Not sure what's going on. Might be more problems with the routing. I know that a few players have been complaining during this tournament about ending up with over 400 ping and things like that. So hopefully that won't be the case this game. Hopefully it'll be a fairly rapid unpause. And quick check-in down on bot. Veronica only 2 for nil. Zoe 9 for 3. Lane sort of going about as well as would be expected, and now we've got a whole bunch more disconnects. So I guess players trying to do as best they can with their connections. The 2-minute rune is spawned. That's an invisibility down on bot. So Sanqing was heading up that way to try and camp it out. They did have vision, but just making sure that nobody from the top lane came down to try and grab that. Mu is already having a hard enough time on top without a DD on either of these ranged heroes coming to mess him up. YYF ready with the Bazzi picked up. Chon has already invested all of his clarities, though obviously the chakra spam from Faith is going to be keeping him up there. And Faith has a few clarities of his own. Could opt to put a second point in the Illuminate, but more than likely just going to see that second point in the Chakra Magic once he gets to level 3. Hao finding good farm on mid, 1 creep behind Zoe. We're only 2 minutes in, so it's not all that indicative of what's happening just yet, though XP a little bit in favor of the Radiant, and Gold a similar story as well, just with that first blood picked up. That's the majority of that. And people now just reconnecting back in. But Tongfu, I mean, they're not going to be able to really shut down the TA mid. They're getting Ferrari off to a bad start, so Hao might have a chance. But dedicating 2 heroes to just slow down the TA in exchange for knowing that your Magnus is only really getting levels on the off lane against the Lone Druid, and top, it's 2v3. This tri-lane is going to be, well, this tri-lane is going to be extremely happy with what's going on up here right now. And actually opting to block out the pull, despite there only being 2 heroes up here. If Tongfu went for this medium camp pull, then they could just come in, steal the creeps, steal the XP. So maybe a little bit overzealous there. The ward has been down for a little while, so maybe maybe put that down before realizing what this lane was up on top. But yeah, I mean, Hao's finding good farm, but Mu is going to need some space to recover at some point. And they don't really have the ability to put the pressure on to try and force any of these supports away. Ferrari just needs to play a little bit more defensively on mid, and we'll still find the levels. And Chon now looking for a bar strike, but it's only rank 1. So as soon as he gets that second point up, can't afford to play a little bit more aggressively. And Long is actually going to go across, looking for this small camp pull. He would have been spotted out by this Observer Ward as well. IG know that Mu is 100% alone right now, and he is playing just so defensively. Chon looking for that Burrow Strike. And what is YYF's skill build? He's got 1 in the Wind Rune and 1 in the Power Shot. There's the stun. Power Shot flies through as well. And Mu getting body blocked perfectly by Chon. Can they get this kill as well? Considering the dive, a few more right clicks going to do it. There's the cold snap, but the body block from Chon and a few right clicks from Faith and YYF. Enough to pick up that kill. Even without any significant stuns or nuking power, we didn't see an Illuminate. It was just the Burst Strike straight into the Power Shot, and Mu not a happy camper up in this top lane. Long DD comes in, but just not a whole lot that he can contribute. Ferrari vanishing off the minimap there was just disrupted on mid, but has his invis bottled up. And I don't think, well, Tongfu do have 2 sentries in tow, so if they sense blood, they might be able to pick something up. And how now with another pause, it's the name of the game. Pauses. And I just don't think that things are looking great for Tongfu at the moment. I mean, Lone Druid's getting pretty much free farm down on bot. He's getting 5 CS a minute, denying Veronica pretty heavily as well. Veronica now out of regen, might be opting for a bottle since mid lane doesn't require one. Hao or Shadow Demon not going to be picking one up. So it's probably just going to be a bottle for him. Maybe if they can get an early flying courier up, he can just sustain that with the bottle crow spam. But for now, he's not having a fun time down in this bottom lane. And I'm just going to have a quick sip of water as we wait through this pause. I mean, things are starting to look even worse up on this top lane. The Invoker's not getting levels. Almost up to level 3 now. YYF, however, is level 3. So is Faith. So is Chon. Long UD only down at level 2. Almost up to level 3, however. I mean, running the small camp pull diligently is getting him a little bit of XP and gold, but it's leaving Mu extremely vulnerable. And the big problem as well with just this dire safe lane is that there's nowhere really to hide. If you look down on the Radiant safe lane, it's a little bit narrower. There's more places to hide into the trees. You've got 2 entrances. But on this dire hard lane, there's so much space. The only entrance to the trees is all the way back behind your tower. And it's not as safe as the Radiant safe lane, especially for someone who's trying to solo against an offensive tri-lane like the Invoker. No natural escape, nothing like that. And it looks like the frame drop might be coming into play now, guys. Hopefully it'll clear up. Hopefully it won't get that bad. But again, Australian internet, it's such a pain. I can apologize for it, but there's not a whole lot that I can do to help fix it. So if it gets too bad, again, Join Dota and Beyond the Summit are both covering this game, and hopefully they'll both be stable. So if this gets bad, then remember that you can just jump ship. Uh, yeah, I mean, how? Here's the thing right now. How is the mid game going to work out for Tongfu? I mean, How could switch his item build over to try and be a little bit more mid gamey, so maybe not the Battle Fury, maybe a Vanguard, some cheap damage, so Vanguard into Yasha, try and be active, because Mu is going to need space. Invoker, as much as any spellcaster, well, more than any spellcaster really, needs levels, and right now with 2 deaths to his name, barely any farm, he is going to need somebody to relieve the pressure for him to just be able to sit in the lane for a few minutes and get some last hits. I mean, Tongfu could switch up the lanes. They could send Invoker mid and then try and just let Sansheng and Hao back up towards top, so it's tri-lane versus tri-lane again. But IG's tri-lane is already getting ahead, and Ferrari isn't really being shut down enough on mid that I don't think that a swap in from Mu is going to work out favorably for them. I mean, even Invoker versus TA mid, 1v1 from the start of the game is a very difficult matchup for Invoker. He needs to switch up his item build a little bit, needs to switch up his skill build, just to stay in that lane. So unless this mid lane maybe finds 1 or 2 kills on Ferrari, that lane swap might not necessarily even work out that well. What else do I have to talk about? Let's talk about Vision, I suppose. Both teams do just still have 2 obs down. This Berserker Ward, it's really blatant, but the thing with the Dire pull is that if you put a sentry ward here, you can spot out pretty much all of the common block spots here, anywhere right in the camp, and then all the way over here. 1 sentry ward in these trees doesn't block the camp, and it means that you can de-ward pretty much everything. So going for this really blatant ward means that they've got sight behind the tower, they might have sight of any really defensive TPs coming in, and they know that they can keep control of this ward. We've got both teams having sight of the top rune right now, and Tongfu have opted to grab some sight of bot rune as well. So no surprises coming their way from that. They've got tabs on everything. But yeah. Oh, Hao has been level 3 for a little bit, not opting to pick anything up just yet. Looks like it might have been a point in stats, or maybe just holding his skill point for now. Probably just holding the skill point, I just won't be able to see it. And the same thing happened to me the other day, thinking that Dazzle had skilled stats, but he was just holding on to the point to see whether he needed Poison Touch or whether he needed the Shallow Grave. So Mu's gonna head back towards top. He's almost level 3. Not sure what else there is to say. I mean, IG could even start putting the pressure on to try and grab an early tower up on top. They've got some great nukes to spam down the wave between the Illuminate and the Power Shot, which YYF has opted for 2 points in right now. And even picking up that point in win run, it's being used extremely aggressively. I mean, being able to get underneath the towers, keep pace with the Invoker, and Winner's right clicks with the +6 damage from their Bassi do really hurt. I mean, again, let's do the comparison. 58 plus 6, so that's 64 for the Winner. Mu down on level 2, he has 45 damage. So he is not going to be a happy camper right now. Hopefully he'll be able to find some levels in the mid game. But an underleveled Invoker, really there's some extremely critical levels for the Invoker to hit. I mean, if he's going Quaz Wex, which is probably going to be the case here, they need the defensive team fight. He's not going to have a point in Exhort for a while, and if he opts for an early point in Exhort, then he weakens the power of his EMP Tornado combo a little bit. So getting over leveled as Invoker, I mean, that's the reason why we see Invoker mid, to get those fast levels, to become the dominant force that he can be, because his early game is just atrocious. I mean, level 1 he had 3 Quaz Orbs and that's all he could do, and just get right click down. Now he's got Cold Snap, but that's about it. And a few players using voice commands in there during the pause, so that's all over there. But yeah, I think IG going to be extremely content with how these lanes are working out. Long DD. Now the target, can he make it into the trees? He can tango through. Trees actually cut down there by the Power Shot, but there's the stun from Sean. And YYF tanking up the tower with the Winner. And there's a Cold Snap, however. Might be in a little bit of danger, but still has the boots to get away. And still 3 tangos. There might be a salve kicking around somewhere. No, it's just that last set of tangos. So IG running a little bit low on regen. Sansheng going to be camping out the 4-minute rune, and it's actually Illusions spawning down on bot, so Hao heading down that way to try and pick that one up. And actually now up to level 4 and still no points invested, so it may actually just be the stats build for him. Slightly better last hitting, slightly better farming, and I guess 111 plus stats is the burning build. We haven't seen the spell shield picked up, so it's not really the burning build in this game. So IG again running a little bit low on regen. On top, though, looks like we may have some flying up right now. Oh, Ferrari in a little bit of trouble on mid. He is completely out of mana. But looks like he's going to be fine to make it out. And going to be going for a Bottled Crow as well as soon as these illusions leave him alone. So bottling up, going to drop that off on the Crow. That's going to be heading back. He can pick up his boots pretty soon as well. And this mid lane just doesn't have any lockdown to combo with the Shadow Demon. So even if Ferrari just keeps the lane so sort of close to his hill, it's a really short distance for him to run to get back to his tower. And nothing to really chew through those refraction charges either. Sanshang's going to head down towards bot to see if they can try and make something happen. No, Veronica getting close to level 6, not quite there yet, and actually pretty low on mana. Getting the bottle sent in though. Zoe eats the disruption, but there's no follow-up just yet. The skewer comes through. Zoe trying to make it into the ultimate. Now pretty tanky. Veronica immediately entangled. So Tongfu invest a lot of mana. They invest a lot of time, and in the end, unable to pick up that kill. Maybe a little bit over-eager. Could have waited until Veronica had level 6 before going for that one. And how Tranquil Boots now dropped off on mid. While Sanshang's away, Ferrari just mans up. And again, the Invoker, even with the poor man's shield, is still extremely susceptible to the physical damage from the TA. Long DD going forward aggressively. Chon's looking for the stun. There's the bar strike. A few more right clicks. Going to be his death up on top. And Moo, all he can do is watch from the sidelines. Has already popped off the Ghost Walk. YYF looking for this kill. And Moo, just nothing that he can do. Invokes on cooldown. Power shot not quite connecting. Good little dodge out of the way by Moo. So it looks like he's going to be fine to make it out. Nobody else is really coming through to help out YYF there. So I guess a little bit optimistic for that kill. Long DD's back up towards top. They're still getting some good XP, but it's just death after death after death. Now 4 kills the lead for IG. The 6-minute rune spawns. Veronica luckily able to pick that one up. He's now up to level 6, but Zoe still just happily farming away. Looks like it might be a go on Ferrari. On mid, he's got 3 points up in the refraction, and Veronica gets through with the skewer. Is he going to throw the polarity? Trying to shoot through those refraction charges before they do so, and Chon TP's in, but immediately hit. 2-man burst strike into the invis, and the Illuminate flies through. How able to pick up that kill with that sentry, but there are 2 big farmers dying for only the support Sand King. Great TP reaction from IG, and not really working out in favor of Tongfu there. And Lone Druid just continues to farm. I mean, where's the bear? What's it farming up to? Just got some boots up right now, so not committing in any big way to really the Radiance Rush or anything, but that's more than likely going to be the build that we're going to see from him this game, since they are just so far ahead, straight from the early game. So Tongfu still with 2 heroes on mid. Faith is just jungling a little bit right now. Happy to leave YYF alone on top. Does leave Moo and Long DD with a little bit of space. And the Cold Snap now not able to connect that Dragon Slave. Chon back up towards top, almost level 6 on him. And Ferrari gets disrupted on mid, but it's actually Hao taking the brunt of that damage. And he's got stats, no point in Spell Shield, and the Illuminate is doing a ton of damage to him. I mean, has the point in the Mana Void up now, but without that innate 26% magic resistance, this Illuminate is just absolutely shredding him. And really should have known that this might have been coming. I mean, IG have convincingly won top. They can now afford to send supports to other lanes to try and assert their dominance. And now dewarding as well from Faith. I mean, I hazard to look at the gold. It's over 4k at this point in the game. XP, 3k the swing as well. We saw Faith jungling a little bit as well. The pull's now running from Tongfu, but Tron able to steal the big creep there, so that's a lot of XP. And gold in their hands. That Satyr, 110 gold is no small fee. Sanshang looking to throw in a few more wards, but just nothing on the Shadow Demon. All of his time, all of his energy is being committed towards mid to try and shut down Ferrari, who at this point is up to level 7. I mean, Anti-Mage is level 7 as well, but Ferrari, no deaths, 2 assists. He is not unhappy with how this lane has been working out for him. And Veronica just being harassed back by the bear, managing to bottle up the 8-minute rune, so that's a haste for him. But Zoe now just chilling out in the bear form, and doesn't really have to be worried about any ganks. If heroes leave top lane, he can just play defensively. But Long DD only at level 5. Sanshang's now finally up here to form up the tri-lane, and YYF now heading towards the mech. Chon's actually going to back off, and Faith is still just hanging out on mid. Does Hao finally have a point up in that Spell Shield? Yes, he does. So now it's the fully complete Burning build for him. And no sentries on mid either. So Ferrari can just afford to play up, just splashing back Hao. Another splash hit, Hao dropping low. Up on top, we get the disruption, connect, and the soul catcher. YYF in a little bit of trouble, but Mu stunned up. There's the Laguna Blade as well. YYF already dead. Faith comes in, throws down the Illuminate. Mu just hiding straight in the Ghost Walk. And Ferrari looking for blood. Long DD in a little bit of trouble, gets knocked back. Veronica comes in, but stunned through by Chon. Long DD, one more right click, finishes him. And Mu realizing there's not a whole lot that he can contribute. And in the end, 1 for 1 is the trade. Nuke flying through from Veronica. But Ferrari just eating that happily with the refraction. And Sangsheng does not finally have enough for some boots, actually opting for more points in the Shadow Poison over the Soul Catcher, and it is a build that we've been seeing more of lately. There were some minor buffs to the Shadow Poison, just in terms of the cast, well, in terms of the cooldown, so it is a little bit stronger, but interesting to see more and more Shadow Demons opting for this build over the Soul Catcher. And Zoe already claims the tier 1 tower down on bot. Gloves of Haste picked up and some phase, so it looks like it's just going to be a Maelstrom AC build for him. And again, the physical damage is going to be a big help in bringing down the anti-mage in these fights. And Hao, now with the Ring of Health picked up, Mu in trouble on top. Epicenter used to pick up that kill, and YYF with one right click grabbing that. He's getting pretty close to his mech, and Tongfu still trailing by 6 kills. I mean, Mu up to level 6. He's starting to get his, get those points up in the spells, but it's a tri-lane who are all up on level 7, and Invoker who is getting pretty much solo XP with Long DD running the small camp pull, and he is still behind in terms of levels. It's just all of those kills on him. Extremely unfortunate. Zoe looks like he's going to be dragged up towards top. They'd love to secure this tier 1 as well, and for now, Tongfu just can't fight them. It's the right decision to make. They realize that they have the upper hand. They can back up the push. I mean, every single push is a potential confrontation. You're saying, okay, we would like to claim the 1,000 gold that you've got banked up in your tower as well. We want to claim some map control. Can you fight us? And Tongfu are in a position right now where they just can't rise to the challenge. And Zoe picking up that tower as well. Veronica maybe now in a little bit of trouble. YYF comes forward looking for the shackle, doesn't connect. There might be an entangle in the bear. Now with the slows, Zoe actually blocking his own bear a little bit there, and Veronica with the skewer away is going to be fine to escape. Tongfu rotate around to mid, maybe trying to find a trade of their own. Hao's now farming up down on bot. With the Ring of Health, looks like it might just be a battle fury for him. So Tongfu maybe just looking to farm this up, try and take this late. The anti-mage can stand up against the Lone Druid in the late game. Just blink straight onto the hero, Manta, and then maybe a Basher, something like that. If he can get to that point, pretty easy to bring down the Lone Druid, despite his massive HP pool. The one thing that does work against him is obviously that the Lone Druid has a pretty low mana pool, so it doesn't get a huge amount of bonus damage from his orb. And IG not done with the push, and lucky entangle on Sangsheng. The power shot flies as well. He's already dead. Zoe gets hit by the Soul Catcher. Veronica and Long DD looking to do what they can. They pop the reverse polarity for that, and the Laguna, but Zoe still up on half HP and happy with his lot in life. Hao comes in, but Ferrari picks up a kill on Mu, who is all the way down here. Zoe still the target, but Chong comes in with a 2-man burst strike. Ferrari with the blink through the shackle on Veronica. He's already dead. Hao with the blink away. And looks like he might be fine to escape, barring a lucky entangle on this hit, perhaps on this one. And with only 2 points up in the blink, the cooldown is still pretty long. So, IG lead by 9 kills right now. Sangsheng heading towards mid. He's got some boots picked up, but again, IG can just go from tower to tower right now. YYF getting quite close to that mech. Sangsheng getting slowed down. Ferrari's got his blink picked up, so can just look to jump at absolutely any time. And the bear gets the entangle. There's the jump. Disruption from Shadow Demon buying them a little bit of time, but Long DD is going to be eating an epicenter off to the side. He's shackled as well. Veronica comes in, gets the skewer back, but it's on the Silver Bear, who's just got way too much health. At this point, Ferrari now doing some good damage. The stun through from Chan picks up a kill on Veronica. Mu trying to escape, but there's the entangle, and the right-click damage just way too much. Can't go invis in the duration of that entangle either. Hao comes in, gets a kill on Faith using the Mana Void, but going to be paying for that with his own life. And IG just going from tower to tower. Long DD going to call the GG. 14-minute GG in this game. Wow. Impressive play from IG, and just, I guess, a little bit strange on the draft from Tongfu. They didn't have any flexibility in their lanes. They didn't shut down Ferrari well on mid, and effectively every single lane just didn't win. I mean, Veronica got levels on bot, but it wasn't dominant whatsoever. And Zoe, 3.4k gold in tow. I mean, he could have even started to head towards the Radiant at this point in the game, though he was sort of showing the Maelstrom build with the Gloves of Haste. But yeah, that's going to be game 1 of this best of 3 for G League. I might just wait around for the final score screen for the sake of the VOD, since it looks like it might not have been too laggy. And then we'll be getting into game 2 in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that, guys. Again, it's a best of 3. So anyway, I've been Basekip. This is G League. This is game 1 of a best of 3 between IG and Tongfu for Group B. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Game 2 coming up soon. And for those of you watching this as a VOD, I hope you tune in for future broadcasts.